Thank you, Susanna, for the kind introduction. It's awesome to be here, and it's really, really exciting to be on the board. It's great to see all the amazing programming today. Y'all have just put something together that is absolutely fantastic. So, as Susanna mentioned, I've been in the games industry for a long time. And to me, the Games for Change Festival is always a highlight of the year. This is an important time. It's important because not only are we facing challenges that we've never seen before, but also important because we are finding never seen before solutions for those challenges. So today, we're fortunate to have more ways to connect, more ways to share, more ways to bring the world closer together, even though we are being forced apart by necessity. How strange is that concept? We are more connected than we've ever been, and yet we are also more distant than we've ever been. The title of my talk today is Games Can Heal the World. So many times as I've worked on this, I've wanted to instead use the phrase, games can change the world. While I think that's beyond true, the ability of games to heal the world is the magic that is happening all around us. So who would have thought that today everyone watching this and millions upon millions of people around the world would be able to identify this image? This nasty thing, this coronavirus has pushed us all to our limit. Now, I know this is not the first talk during the Games for Change Festival that will mention the coronavirus, and I know it's not the last one. That's okay, though. This is really important stuff. We need to speak openly about the havoc it is wreaking in our daily lives, and also choose to filter and find the positive moments and opportunities where the coronavirus has pushed us to explore the depths of our passion, video games, and come up with new ways to connect people and begin the healing process. I want to start today with a story. My mom's 75th birthday was on March 9th this year. She had an incredibly special weekend planned. It was going to start on March 7th with an amazing dinner at a Michelin-star restaurant in San Francisco. Afterwards, she and my father were going to go check into a fancy hotel. The next day, they would have an incredible brunch followed by a trip to the San Francisco Ballet. Finally, after 2 days of food, fun, entertainment, they were going to drive up the coast to spend the remainder of the birthday week at the cozy coastal retreat of Sea Ranch, California. None of this happened. The previous week, news of the rampant spread of COVID-19 cases started to go far and wide. Offices were closing. I know that I was sent to work from home in early March, and many people were no longer shaking hands, and of course, toilet paper had already started flying off the shelves. As a couple that had been married for 40 years and had survived wars, disease, discrimination, and so much more, my parents were not even remotely afraid of COVID-19. For the first time ever, I had to step into the role of being more responsible than my parents. I remember the call like it was yesterday. "Hi, Mom," was my big opener, followed by, "We need to talk." Can you imagine saying that to your folks? "Listen, Mom, you're gonna need to cancel your birthday. It isn't safe. I insist." Whew. After some back and forth, my mother finally heard me, and she reluctantly agreed. As everyone in this talk knows, this was only the first of many disappointing times that are still here today, where dreams have been shattered and new realities have been written. The following week, the schools were shut down. Everything closed. Not only were my wife and I now working at home, but we also had this new reality of trying to execute a distance learning plan for a 13, 11, and 9-year-old. Oh, and by the way, my wife is a 5th grade teacher. Can we just take a second to applaud all of the teachers out there? Not only did she have to figure out distance learning for her own family, she also had to rework 20 years of in-classroom teaching experience into distance learning plans for 36 5th graders. If distance learning wasn't hard enough, imagine having to be responsible for the education of nearly 40 kids. Needless to say, it was tough. Still is tough on everyone. We are all dealing with our new reality. As you can see by the slide behind me, when I grabbed this on Sunday, the world had nearly 13 million cases of coronavirus, more than 550,000 deaths. I do not need to put that into perspective for you. Almost everything that was normal, is now foreign. No more sports, no more classes, no more movies, no more karate, no more play dates, no more sleepovers. The list goes on and on. A deep gap has been created. How can we maintain friendships? How can we build relationships? How can we do the most basic and necessary things? Connecting with one another, supporting each other. Now, here's the beautiful thing. Games have filled the gap. Yes, people quickly figured out new ways to learn. I imagine more students and teachers than ever before are using Google Classroom. And yes, people have become really excited about video conferencing. But I think it's games that have really helped bridge the COVID-19 divide. Look at this headline from USA Today. Video games can be a healthy social pastime during coronavirus pandemic. Amazing. Organization partnering with the video game industry to launch #PlayApartTogether, encouraging people to connect socially while maintaining social distancing. Launched on March 28th with 18 partners, by April 5th, more than 40 additional gaming companies joined to help drive the message. However, not only did companies get on board to espouse social distancing, in every corner of the games industry, people were raising money for COVID relief. I have yet to see any sort of financial final total, and this thing is far from over, but I think it's safe to say that multiple millions of dollars have been raised and put to good use. Money and message aren't the only ways that games have been helping to heal the world. In Psychology Today, Dr. Mark Burton wrote, "One of the best uses for screens is in sustaining relationships with true friends and family. Use technology well. Support your family and your children by reaching me." About a month into the coronavirus lockdown, I found myself on a new text thread with my oldest friends. Needing a way to find connection, one of my friends decided that it was about time that we start a weekly game night. Now, what you need to know is that I've been in the video game industry for nearly my entire professional career, over 21 years. I've been playing games since I was old enough to hold an Atari 2600 controller, to give you a sense of how old I am. From when we were all in college together until this very moment, March 28th at 5:53 p.m., my oldest college friends and I had never played video games together. In college, we played about 10 hours a week of Dungeons and Dragons, but we're going to save that story for another time. In this moment, when we were all searching for a way to connect, gaming found a way. As you can tell by the chat, some folks had to figure out a way to get a Switch. Then after that, we all had to get on Nintendo Online and download the mobile app. It wasn't the easiest journey, but it was totally worth it. After a bit, we were all online together, catching up, telling college war stories, teaching each other about our families, supporting each other through surgeries, and giving each other advice on everything from the best way to configure your cart in Mario Kart 8 to how best to parent during these COVID times. NPR had this headline: "As hanging out gets difficult, more people are tuning in to social video games." I could go on and on about various stories of this that I've found, but one way to look at how the world has turned to gaming to connect with one another is to look at various business metrics. So here's a look at consumer spending growth in 2020 compared to 2019. There has been a decline in recent weeks to a mere 51% increase in spending year over year. 51%. As you can see, during April, there was nearly a 120% increase in spending year over year. When you compare this to restaurant spending, lodging, air travel, just how many people are engaging with and spending on video games is staggering. Okay, am I back, everybody? Hopefully you can hear me. Apologies. I think my internet went down. Great, perfect timing. Thank you. Welcome to COVID. I was saying another way to look at this is by taking into consideration the number of people who are watching other people play games. During this activity, people are building community. They are chatting with each other, making new friends, interacting with the creator, and so much more. They are building friendships to last a lifetime. They are connecting with each other through gaming more than ever before. This is a recent State of the Stream report from Stream Elements and Arsenal.gg. Nearly every major streaming platform experienced double-digit growth year over year. The industry experienced 99% year-over-year growth in the total numbers of hours watched. If we had all the time in the world, I could keep going on, but as you can see, the results are in. The world is turning to games during COVID. Games are bringing together people, and they're building and sustaining meaningful connections. However, once again, I must bring us back to the title of this talk. Games can heal the world. Creating connections to people is just one part of healing the world, an extremely important one, but just one part. You're going to learn more about this later in the week, but one of the things that I've recently learned about is how games can actually be medicine. As a video game junkie and the parent of a child with ADHD and Asperger's, you can only imagine how I felt when my mom sent me a text with a link to this article. What an incredible time we live in. This game is the culmination of years of hard work, decades of research, and I believe the kind of innovation that we can usually see only in the video game industry. On June 15th, 2020, Akili announced that, quote, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, has granted clearance for Endeavor RxTM as a prescription treatment for children with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Delivered through a captivating video game experience, Endeavor RX is indicated to improve attention focus as measured by computer-based testing in children ages 8 to 12 years old with primarily inattentive or combined type ADHD who have demonstrated attention issue. This is amazing. This is phenomenal. The press release goes on. Endeavor RX was granted clearance based on data from 5 clinical studies in more than 600 children diagnosed with ADHD. How amazing is that? This is a stunning example of how games can heal the world. Another example of this is a game that I hope everyone is familiar with. And if you aren't yet, then hopefully you, like I, will become one of their biggest fans. This is Ava from game developer Social Cipher. In their own words, Social Cipher is led by a team of autistic advocates, game developers, and social entrepreneurs. Again, in their own words, Ava is a video game played through the perspective of an autistic protagonist as she encounters both social and platforming challenges. The game is not intended as therapy, but the RPG style dialogue incorporates elements of social and emotional learning, tackling themes like conflict resolution, isolation, oversharing, facing rejection, and more. It encourages players to engage with these topics outside of a classroom or therapist's office through a medium that is both accessible and enjoyable. I had the opportunity to meet the Social Cipher team last year, and I can tell you they are phenomenal. They are led by Vanessa Castaneda-Gill, who is herself autistic, as well as being a neuroscientist and video game developer. I want to start to close my talk today by highlighting some global gaming citizens. Created as a recognition in 2018 by Facebook Gaming and the Game Awards, global gaming citizens are people who use the power of games to create positive change in their communities. This is a fantastic way to show how games can heal the world. It starts with us, reaching out to people in our communities to encourage them to try new things, meet new people, learn new skills, explore the world around them, to break through barriers and reach new heights. Fareshta is the founder and CEO of Code to Inspire, the first coding and game design school for women in Afghanistan. CTI is a 2-year after-school program that has given more than 150 female students skills and confidence to code, build apps, and generate work opportunities for themselves. The women at CTI have made over 20 games and have helped influence their community with their latest title, Afghan Hero Girl. Fareshta was born in Iran as a refugee during the USSR invasion in Afghanistan. She would go on to earn a bachelor's degree in computer science from Herat University and later a master's degree from the Technical University of Berlin in Germany. Last year, we also had the opportunity to honor the work of Stephen and Matt from StackUp. StackUp is a charity devoted to helping military and veterans' mental health through games and gaming culture. Stephen Shanghai 6 Machuga is the CEO and founder. A former military intelligence officer and airborne ranger, Captain Machuga left the service in 2006 and spent the following decade working as a counterterrorism analyst and supporting various charities. Matt Bergdahl is a veteran licensed counseling therapist and the manager of the StackUp Overwatch program, also called STOP. This is a crisis support hotline that connects veterans and volunteers trained to assist with PTSD, depression, and other emotional stressors. Supported by the CDC, the innovative program is saving lives and meeting veterans in needs where they hang out, online, and playing games. Continuing with the theme of mental health as a critical aspect of how games can heal the world, comes the story of one of the most inspiring global gaming citizens we've ever had. Luke is a 12-year-old boy who, inspired by his family's story, decided to create a game within Roblox to raise awareness around mental health. That game, Let's Be Well, was designed to help kids understand mental health and to spark conversations about depression and other issues. The game tells the story about a character named Bob, set in an obstacle course. As Bob and the players make their way through the course, facts about depression come up and help him and everyone playing learn about mental illness. Gray blocks start turning to color as Bob learns more about his illness to show that he's starting to feel just a little bit better. So look, I hope that I've left you today with some inspiration and ideas about how games can heal the world. From bringing people together to teaching new things, from healing the mind to nourishing the soul, games are uniquely positioned to be spaces where healing can begin. Nearly half of the population in the world plays video games. Just imagine how much good we could do together. Thank you.